Washington State University. Go Cougs!
Given that we have all this data coming in, and given that we can interpret it and understand it, we need to be able to build a model around it, because the samples themselves don't tell you a whole lot. You need to know a combination of what they mean and what you've got to tell you a model of what happened. It's almost like a story or an understanding of the universe, because my interpretation of model building is it's the best approximation of the universe that we have on hand at the moment. That's the translation. We're sampling the universe to get data to tell us what the universe is. And something that, when you start talking about humans and how we operate, is you have a model of the universe in your head right now. And you're pulling in all this sensor data from around you. Your eyes, your ears, your smell, your taste, your sense of balance, your history of knowing about things. All of this comes together to build a model of the universe. The really fun part is you're in that model of the universe in your head. You have to think about that. You have to put yourself in the universe in the model in your head. And so you have a model of yourself in your head. It's there. And it's a good thing, because you're going to use it to decide what to do. Because you've given information about the history of the universe as you know it, you can drive that model forward. Say, okay, if I were to raise my hand, Crandall is likely to point at me and say, what do you want to say? What do you want to say? Nothing. Perfect. See, you know that. And you're continually exploring possible futures based on that model. And what we want in the world of AI and machine learning is to build an accurate model of the universe. Now, it could be a very simple universe, because we don't know the whole thing yet. We're working on that. But we can know a very simple thing. It can be as simple as tic-tac-toe or the Wumpus game, and say, here is where I am, here's where I heard some things, and how many spears I have left. What should I do? And you only have a couple choices, move or throw. It's a simple universe, but it is a model of a universe. And so what we're trying to do is, based on this data, what should we do in the future? And that data will allow us to drive that model both to where it stands now, to know the state of the universe, to say, where is the person in the house? What are they doing? Who is it? How well are they doing it? How well are they moving? What's their health status? Are they doing social interaction? All of the data we're getting from these sensors are to build this model up. And in machine learning land, we try to do it automatically, but you as a human can do it as well. If you sit and read the data from the smart home, watch it on our simulators, you will see in no time they're standing there. Oh, they walked over here into the kitchen. Oh, they opened the refrigerator. I know what they're up to. They're hungry, or they're trying to figure out what to buy from the store, or something. It's related to these objects and their pattern of activities. Well, you can then say, well, given that they're hungry, they're probably going to make some food, and so they'll end up in the living room. I should turn on the living room lights for them. And turn it on. Great. You've now built a model in your head, you've driven it forward and made a decision based on it. We want AI to do the same thing. Now, trying to do all of this in the world of Jaren technology means that we have to sense particular things. I have some categories. This is my kind of breakdown of this, and it changes just about every 6 months because of how we decide to do things, kind of updates my understanding of it. But really, there's some things that we like to know about. We want to know about the person themselves, and to say, here's their status, their heart rate, their temperature, their blood pressure, their body position, how well they're moving. They as an individual, because that's the key to health, about their current state of health. We also want to know what's around the person. So if I were to have sensors on me that look to the outside world, to say, what's around me? Where am I near a door? What room am I in? Are there people around there? Is it loud? Is it bright? Is it cold? Is it hot? Knowing what's around the person is indicative of what they're doing, what they want. Are they safe? Are they talking to people? All of that information is useful based on the thing that you can carry with you and sense outward. You're building up a context for the individual. Versus the kind of things where we talk about the entire space. This is where we talk about in-home sensors. We want to know everything about the house, even if there's no humans. And so, in this case, if a tree falls in the house and there's no one in there, we do know if it makes a sound because we have sensors. And that tells us all about the home. Not just the people that are in it, but the house and the space itself. And so that allows us to go beyond just healthcare. It goes into energy efficiency, modeling and understanding the house. What should we do about the home? Does it need help? Do we need to make any changes? I've actually been involved in a thing doing clutter and object detection to say how cluttered the house is. And that's very valuable. It's just not necessarily a direct healthcare thing, but it does say, are they maintaining their home? Are they building up piles of junk? Is it a health hazard? Is it a food hazard? Is it a fire hazard? So there's maintenance of the home as well as the maintenance of the individual. And of course, you can mix and match these in any way you want. And when we start talking about cell phones, these get mixed and matched very, very often. So when we talk about generative technology itself, what is it we're trying to get out of it? Given that we can sense the person, we can sense the home, we can sense what's going on, we'd love to know what activities are being done. Because what are activities indicative of? Self-care, self-maintenance. The ability to operate as an individual, which is the ideal state. We love it when people can take care of themselves. That is everything I do with my kids. It's all about training them to take care of themselves in the end. Because then I can kick them out of the house and say, go play. And they come back usually in mostly one piece. Otherwise, they learn something during the day. And so knowing what activities are going on is incredibly valuable. Identifying people. The thing about sensors is they don't necessarily tell you who they're sensing. In fact, most don't. And even if they do tell you who they're sensing, they aren't necessarily correct. So for example, our motion detectors just give you on and offs. Does that say who was in the kitchen? No, it says on. That's not enough. I've done quite a bit of work to say, based on behavior and pattern of activities and the sensor series, we can give an indication of who it likely is, but it doesn't say who it is. But we need to know, who is the person who's hungry? Who is the person who's doing the cooking? Who is the person who's taking care of the home? Because that tells you in a scenario where there's multiple people, who needs more help or not, or who's being the care provider. And by the way, most people just said, hey, just slap an RFID tag on everybody and call it a day. You can track them, right? We can know who's who with just put an RFID. Does that work? Yes or no? Usually. The answer is usually, unless a couple things can happen. What would be the number one thing that would be an issue with that? They can take it off. They can take the RFID off and then you're not tracking them. And the other good one is, it can break. No one wants to wear it. That's a privacy issue. We'll talk about this shortly. What happens if we accidentally swap them? Then you're always wrong. It's saying who it is, but it's the wrong person. So when we go back to our list of sensor errors, it can still happen. So finding ways that are robust, even though they seem robust from the outset, and in fact, slapping RFIDs is a fairly good solution. It's just you have to maintain it. We looked at putting them in shoes quite a bit, because if you wear your shoes, we know where you're at. But at the same time, if you get new shoes, you need new RFIDs. So there's a lot of questions and issues with any decision you make. Things like mobility. How much are people moving? That's a major indication of health. The ability to get up and move around, how quickly and how well. Compliance with medicine. Huge target. I've seen so many solutions to this. It's amazing. And it's still very difficult. Because in the end, you have to measure that not only did the pills exist in the home, that the right person got the pill, that the person actually put the pill in their mouth and swallowed it and let it digest. So that the chemicals in that pill, or whatever combination of material in that pill actually entered their bloodstream. That's what you need to know. Did it enter their bloodstream? Which is very difficult with a lot of sensors. And finding solutions to that is a tough one. Falls are a big deal. It's about, the number I have in my head is about 40% of people who go to long-term care are because of an acute fall. So being able to not only detect someone fell, because falling is also a major contributor to death for many seniors. They fall, they can't get help, and they just stay there. It's an incredibly sad part of our society and how things have occurred. Is that how can we help people get help when they've fallen? But even better, can we predict that they're going to fall and take proactive steps to ensure that it doesn't happen? And then biostatus information. Everything about someone's health over time helps predict when they're going to have issues, when more intervention should be taking place, and then also if there's an acute issue at the moment.